Hello and welcome to the Greater Reston Living Podcast, where we're the only podcast covering everything happening in Reston and Herndon. Today on the podcast, we're going to cover the new Fairfax County school boundaries and do a deep dive on the proposed boundaries for Western High School. And we're going to look at some economic data. I know data is boring, but economic conditions in Northern Virginia and how are we holding up after a turbulent 2025. But before we get started, Kathy, how did Reston and Herndon do with this snowstorm?
Woo! The blizzard, let's just say we got about 8.5 inches of snow, and probably two inches of that was ice. Those of us that shoveled early, we got out of our driveway, but there are people who are still shoveling out and they can no longer shovel. And they're trying to hire bobcats to come on in, and chisel them out so they can return to normal and go to the grocery store. Yeah,
it's pretty much concrete out there. And I don't know about, I think you showed us the family an Instagram video or something where somebody was saying, hey, don't go out there and shovel while it's snowing. Instead, let's wait for the snow to finish and the ice to come and layer on top. Yeah. I think that was the worst advice ever. And so from now on, I'll be out there every couple hours shoveling this so that I don't have to deal with compacted concrete ever again.
And it's not helping that we are not going to be above freezing for the foreseeable future. So
yeah. And
we're getting more snow on Saturday, so we'll see what happens with that.
Well, and we're here in Reston Town Center, and there are literally I think they're calling them snowbergs everywhere on each corner. They're about 6 or 7 feet tall, some of them. It's crazy.
Yeah. You can no longer use a snow shovel. You need to use the metal garden shovel but you're going to break your back anyway.
Yes.
A pickaxe, yes.
Okay, and we're taping this on a Thursday. Tomorrow, Friday, is National Croissant Day. We love those fake holidays, right?
Kathy loves them. It's one of my favorite things.
Cool. We have a lot of places where you can get croissants in our area, right?
And we visited a place today, and we're going to be sharing this on our Instagram. And I feel like we were treated like royalty, and we had the best croissants. I mean, we tried everything. I am so stuffed.
Yeah, I think I'm having a sugar spike. So if I stroke out, please come on in here.
But we do some amazing places to get croissants, and you should go celebrate because it's fun.
Well, actually, real quick, where are the places that you can get a croissant, right? There's, let's see if we can list a few off the top of our heads. There's Levantois, Tate, Roganart, Toulajour. I'm sure you can
Paris
get them at...
Baguette, I think, is one.
They're coming soon. Well, they're in Herndon. They have one over there in the Arrowbrook area. Who else? I'm sure there's a couple of more that I can't think of. I'm sure you can get them at the Clue, Simply Social, Lake Ann Coffee House. Pretty much all the coffee shops are going to have a croissant. The question is going to be, which is the best? So we'll probably have a poll out soon on that one.
Yeah, and we'd love for you to vote and share where you think the best croissant is.
All right, well, let's get into the meat and potatoes of our podcast today. So first topic up, the new Fairfax County school boundaries. They're finally out, and we're going to do a deep dive on the boundaries for Western High School. Okay, so Kathy, let's dive into the new Fairfax County school boundaries, and let's take a deep dive on the new proposed boundaries for Western High School, right? So first, let's talk about the actual comprehensive boundary review process. So here's the cool thing. Fairfax County is doing a pretty good job keeping everybody updated. They put out these dedicated websites to talk about the process, and they just wrapped up a 2-year comprehensive school boundary review. And what would you say the top line headline is for people in our area, Kathy, on this boundary review?
What's going to happen? I'm sorry.
A whole lot of nothing, right?
Exactly.
So that's the headline.
Oh yeah, nothing is changing. Well, the good news for the high school in Reston and Herndon is that it's staying the same.
Right. So let's take a look, because there might be some people concerned. There are some changes to the elementary school, but I also wanted to make sure people knew that there was this resource out there, which is pretty good. It's an interactive boundary exploring tool. So you can see that right from the link. We'll put these links in our show notes.
So you guys can do all your homework when you're buying a house, so you can see what schools your kids are gonna go to. But you know what? It's always changing. So every couple of years, the boundaries may change.
Exactly. So you can't, it's not a guarantee, right? So you're going to basically, when you're looking for a home, and this is what we always tell our clients, right, Kathy, is that, yes, today that's within that school district. It may
it could
not be
change.
tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So the whole Fairfax County, of course, is a very, very large area. We're going to drill in and focus in on just the Reston and Herndon area for our audience. But if you live in another area, just note that you can explore those areas as well. And there might be some more changes that have occurred in your particular area. But
one thing I want to note is that we thought it was going to affect a lot more students, and it's actually not. Just roughly 1,700 students will be affected and having to change schools.
Right. So that's
not as much as we thought.
In the grand scheme of things too, right? Because there's more than 100,000 students in the district, right? So it's a small percentage, but as I can imagine, or you can imagine too, Kathy, right? As parents, if there's going to be a change, how are you going to feel about that change?
As a parent, I would be upset if my kid was having to change schools, because I bought my house where I wanted my kids to go to school, and we did that research. But on the other side, I can also understand, because they're trying to decrease the number of trailers that the kids have to go out to and make sure that the schools aren't overcrowded.
Right.
But we also have to be sensitive to those students that the transportation might be an issue.
Right. So transportation, and then students, of course, they make friends. And then we get concerned when they separate from their friends and those kinds of things. Bottom line is, most students are quite resilient, but I certainly can understand the sentiment and the concern from parents, having been parents of Fairfax County School students, right?
Yes.
Okay, so let's zoom in, and just to reinforce the fact that we're looking at the high school. So on this boundary locator, we are looking at the high school boundaries. So this black line indicates the boundary for, in this case, South Lakes High School in Reston. Okay. And then you can toggle on the changes, the proposed changes. So this is the existing boundary. And then when you highlight, the colored regions will show you what the new boundary is going to look like. And you can see in our area, nothing changes. The green for South Lakes encompasses the entire boundary area, so nothing's changed. Same thing with Herndon High School region here north of the toll road. And then this blue area is Westfield High School for the people in the McNair area and Oak Hill. Some people in the Oak Hill region go to Chantilly High School. That's not changing, nor is those who are in that Franklin Farm area going to Oakton High School. All of that is staying the same, at least as it pertains to the comprehensive boundary review. Now, there's a two-step process, because, Kathy, you're probably asking, well, what about the Western High School changes, right?
Everybody's talking about it.
Everybody's talking. Exactly. Western High School is coming online as well in 2026. So there will be some additional boundary changes unique to the area of the Western High School. We're going to dive into that in just a minute, but let's just finish out for folks. The high school area, you can see the only area, high school, Madison High School in Vienna, they're going to grab some students in that Wolf Trap area north of Vienna proper. And so just a few of them are going to come on over to the Madison High School. But in our region, nothing changes at the high school level. Same thing at the middle school level. You can see these all remain the same. In Vienna, again, they do have that same wolf trap area shifting over to the middle school. And then elementary school, you can see a lot more slicing and dicing going on here. However, also very little is changing. Let's drill into our area so you can see, the Reston elementary schools. What do we have over here? It's like Sunrise Valley, and where's that? Over here. All of them are staying the same. The only difference, same thing on the Herndon side, the only difference is going to be in this area that's west of Centerville Road. This is the McNair area.
Over by the clock tower, where we've seen a lot of growth in the last couple of years. So obviously, things are getting overcrowded over there and need to shift a little bit.
Especially west of the clock tower, right? In that Centerville, west of Centerville Road, in that area with Innovation Station and several of the new apartment buildings, the Arrowbrook Center, all of that area has just been booming in the last 10 or so years. So that is Coates Elementary School over there. And they've basically compacted the Coates Elementary School area. So you can see the old boundary for Coates kind of had this squiggly boundary across the toll road. And so what's happening is some of the people who used to go to Coates in the southern part of the district are going to go to Flores Elementary. And those that were on the kind of northeast section, they're going to go to McNair Elementary, right? So McNair's picking up mostly McNair is picking up some more students. Okay. And McNair Elementary, they have the two elementaries over there, don't they, Kathy? Like the lower and the upper for the lower grades and the upper grades, right? So they've already got like extra facilities, so to speak, multiple buildings. Other than that, the elementary schools in our area stay the same. So for 2 years, lots of consternation, but for the most part, people are in good shape for their students staying in the same area. Now, if we dive in to Western High School, there's a lot going on with that particular one. Kathy, are you able to see my screen with
No.
Okay, so let's try that again. Let me get started. Every time I switch, it seems to choke a little bit, I guess. Here we go.
There we go. I see it.
All right, so we're going to look at, again, they have a whole page for the new Fairfax County Public School High School in Western Fairfax County. They've been calling it Western High School. I think we're still waiting on what the proposed name is for Western High School. Kathy,
It'll be
is that right?
interesting to see. I know that they have like 3 that they're thinking about right now, but let's see what actually.
I remember Discovery was one, Innovation was one,
I can't remember.
Western is one. And then I saw that it seems like they're gravitating toward Western, but now they're talking about, like, is it West County High School? Is it Western High School? I think they're like looking at different possibilities using the term West. Not to be confused with Westfield High School, but we shall see, right? So more on that when we get some more definitive information. But in the meantime, just know that there is a page, just like there was for the full boundary study, there's a page on Western High School itself, not only about the potential boundaries, but also just so you can get to know a little bit more about the facility. This was the former King Abdullah Academy, which came up for sale recently, and Fairfax County snatched it up because it actually cost them about half as much as it would have cost to build a new high school, which they were already considering doing in the western part of the county, right, due to overcrowding and everything. So I think it represented a perfect opportunity, made sense. And so as you scroll through the page, you can learn all about it. One of the things that I think is really interesting, first of all, its expected capacity is around 2,000 students, which is about what most of the high schools in Fairfax County capacity is. But it's got a tremendous amount of amenities over there. So this is where it's known for example, lots of science labs, robotics labs, even ceramics laboratories, state-of-the-art gyms, things like that. I think that they do have some athletic fields, but they don't quite have the same level of athletic fields as, high schools like Chantilly. So this is what some of the concern is for parents.
We've been hearing a lot of that about parents, especially the juniors and seniors who will be going into college, and they want to, the name of the high school matters. And this one, like, people really won't know about. So does that affect, college opportunities?
Right.
That's what we've been hearing.
Right. Especially, the athletes are concerned because the capacity isn't there for them necessarily. But I think if you're not an athlete, there are it's clear that at least the facilities are going to be very valuable for anybody focused on certain academic programs and things like that. Obviously, the quality of the teachers and so on and so forth is going to play into that. But I think a lot of people are mostly concerned with the actual boundaries themselves, the proposed boundaries. So there are 4 proposed boundaries, and these take a little deciphering. So let's take a look at them, and we'll zero in. So you can see on this portion of the map, we're talking about the very western side of Fairfax County, right? Hence the name Western High School. Western High School, for those who don't know, is off of McLaren, right? McLaren Drive, off next to Rachel Carson Middle School. Mm-hmm. Yeah, where our children went. And there are 4 proposed boundaries. This one that we're looking at right now draws the boundary from the toll road south to Route 50, and then kind of cuts across Fairfax County Parkway and even Reston Parkway /Lawyers/West Ox, whatever you're calling the road when it gets down there, right? Mm-hmm. Because it changes its name multiple times. So in this first option, what we're seeing is the Western High School area is going to draw a tremendous number of students from Westfield High School. So Westfield is the green color. And so many of those people are now going to attend Western High School. In fact, up here, it tells you Westfield High School. Westfield's going to get 702 new students from other areas, but they're going to give away 1,000 students to Western High School. So the bulk of the students in this option will come from Westfield and go to Western High School. Whereas Westfield itself in this option is going to pick up some students who are coming from either Chantilly High School or from Centerville High School in these regions, right? And that's why they're going to have 700 new students. Meanwhile, Centerville High School gives up some students. Chantilly High School gives up some students. There's a piece of Chantilly High School right here that ends up at the Western High School. This is going to be your Chantilly Highlands area. Western Franklin Farm, going to end up in Western High School based on this. Then you have a big chunk of students in the Eastern Franklin Farm area, Money's Corner and all of that area. They are currently going to Oakton. They will end up at Western High School. Now, Oakton being one of the most highly rated Fairfax County Public Schools, maybe a lot of parents are going to get upset by that one. We'll see. I haven't heard a whole lot of scuttlebutt. Have you?
No.
Not so far, right?
Not from the parents, but people do talk, and they want to stay in the school district that they're already in. So change is hard,
right,
for parents and for students.
And this hasn't been decided yet. This is just one option. So let's take a look at the second one. So the second option is a little more compact. And here we're drawing from this one. It will impact the residents of Reston, or at least South Lakes High School. attendees of South Lakes High School. So you can see Western High School here again. And Oakton High School communities aren't touched in this particular one, but instead the Fox Mill Estates area and some of the area west on West Ox Road, some of those neighborhoods, like what's up there, Kathy, like Franklin Oaks and Glen and some of those other areas, they may end up at this Western High School, right? Instead of where they currently go to South Lakes High School. So that would be a big change for that population. That's picking up 370 students that currently go to South Lakes. And then, so that's option 2. Let's go to option 3. Option 3 leaves Westfield High School largely intact, right? Only grabs the very northern edge of the Westfield in this green. And then picks up the Oakton students, the South Lake students, and a chunk of Chantilly High students, right? So this is a little bit more compact, but they're sort of wedging it up more north, right?
And this is all happening this school year, September 2026 and the 2027 school year. So they need to have this all taken care,
Yeah. They need to chop and get this out, right?
Before the school year starts, because it's coming up. I mean, we're
Right.
already in 2026, so.
Exactly. And this fourth option, what's going on here? It's basically the same as the third, except that they're carving out this little neighborhood right here. I don't know if somebody, greased the palms of one of the politicians or what's happening in that area, but somehow or another they become exempt, but otherwise the same as option 3. Kathy, do you think Western High School, I know change is hard and everybody's going to have some change, but do you think it's going to be like a major issue from a housing point of view, from a resale point of view, people making decisions about where they're going to live or move?
I do. I think people are going to put buying a house on hold until they figure out what high school they're going to, because it matters. So
Right.
I think we might see people just putting the brakes on until they know exactly what's going to happen.
Right. Though I think ultimately in the long run, I think you're going to find pros and cons of each of these schools, and ultimately it'll all work out. It's just going to be the change portion that's a little bit hard. I think there's some phasing in. Folks who are concerned should definitely, and we'll put a link in the notes, should definitely go and read through the website. So it talks about how they're staging and staggering people to go into it. There's some level of voluntarism too, so you can volunteer to start going into the school. So they're sort of phasing in some elements of it, so it's not all drastically changed at once.
One thing I will add, some parents actually might be happy about the change, and maybe their kid doesn't have to drive as far or be on the bus as long. So some people might want a school that is closer.
Good point.
Especially with the snow, like kids driving in snow and ice. If you're closer, it's better.
Okay, so let's dive into our next topic, which is the economic conditions in Northern Virginia. And really, we had a pretty turbulent 2025 that we had to navigate. Let's see how our community is holding up. I think the first thing that I wanted to explore in this, there's really a couple of different ways to slice and dice this information. And the first one is to look at something we posted recently and Fairfax Now covered, which is the Fairfax County unemployment rate. And the news here made it sound really terrible, but I don't think it's as bad when you start looking at it under the covers as what the headline says. That the unemployment is, or the number of people unemployed, Fairfax County residents unemployed, is 43% greater than the number of people who were unemployed at this time last year, or at least as of the reporting of this, which was in November. So, yes, we've got 43% more people looking for work that are out of work than the last year, but we're still only at 3.8, and I say only in quotes, right? Only at 3.8% unemployment rate. So that's been going up. You can see from this chart here. Maybe I need to zoom in for folks if you're squinting on the YouTube. And you can see going back to 2024, we were in at 2.6%, so pretty low, even 2.2% in December of last year. And that's been steadily growing all throughout 2025 until here we are at the end of 2025 at 3.8%.
But we are still better than the national average.
Right. Which is at, what did we say, 4.3, 4.4%, right around in that area?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So speaks to the resilience of our area, even with a lot of consternation happening in our area, right? With the Doge cuts earlier in the year, followed by the government shutdown and just,
It affected a lot of people.
Right. General uncertainty. I think it's caused people to, you've seen it, Kathy, with clients, some of them pausing, their moves because they just don't know what's going to happen, right?
Right. Better be safe than sorry is what they were thinking. So, but some of them, felt pretty secure and went ahead and are moving all along and buying a house. But other people are like, I just need to wait and see what's going to happen.
Yeah. And you can't blame them, right? We've got a lot happening. So that's one look, right? So it's the unemployment that is causing a little bit of concern there. It's growing, but still better shape than the national average, which is good. Let's note
that we do have a lot of headquarters and companies that are moving to this area, and we're hoping that maybe that will help, unemployment rate and get more people employed, because Reston and Herndon, they're just growing and more people are moving here.
Great point, Kathy. That's true. And I mean, we're seeing it all the time. We talked last week in our podcast about the 100% occupancy of Reston Town Center. And but it's also true in Herndon that there was a study that I had seen another time where, in general, office occupancy of both Reston and Herndon is a strong point within Fairfax County and within Northern Virginia overall. So our little region is holding up fairly well. This is the Washington Business Journal, and it's part of a national publication, right? But then it has a section that focuses specifically on Washington and says consumer confidence keeps falling in the greater Washington area as the region navigates federal cuts. And so this one shows us that the greater Washington area has a score of 95.6, which represents a decline of 2.4 points. Now, what does that mean? Well, first of all, you need to know that the rating scale that's being used, the number 100, is considered the midpoint or a neutral number. It's if the consumer confidence were 100, that means that half of the people were positive and half of the people were neutral about the economy. So if you have a number below 100, you have a more negative feeling or a negative mood about the economy. And our area is 95.6, representing, a souring of the mood in the county. Or in the greater Washington area. So this is more than the county. This is covering our whole region. And largely speaking, it says the reason for that is due to job losses and rising unemployment. So no surprise there that as the unemployment raises, more uncertainty is introduced, people feel less confident to consume things, right? It's all connected. And then if we look down below, you can see how we compare to some of the major areas around the country. So you can see there aren't that many that are feeling positive, but there are, a handful of cities that are above the 100 line. So you got the Atlanta area feeling neutral and Charlotte neutral, North Carolina. But Nashville's feeling relatively confident. It looks like Birmingham, Jacksonville. So some of these southern cities are feeling a little bit more confident still. Whereas if you scroll down, you can start to see that almost all of the other major regional areas, here's Washington, 95, and Phoenix, 94. And then when you get all the way down to down here, you can see places like Durham and Chapel Hill, very sour on it. And the piece here is saying that a lot of the smaller regional areas are getting hit harder. And so that's why you're seeing less and less confidence in those areas versus some of the major city areas or major regions. So not looking good in terms of confidence in the area. The only thing I wanted to say now is a lot of people are talking about AI jobs or AI affecting jobs, and that's been a big concern. And I haven't seen a whole lot of solutions on that front, Kathy. So it's nice to see a headline here about the new governor in Virginia, Spanberger, having the opportunity, at least, we'll have to see how it pans out, to reshape the workforce training area as AI interrupts and disrupts the job market. And
we're specifically talking about the age, like anybody 35 years old and younger than that who, are looking for jobs that are being replaced by AI.
Right. I think it even says, now this is talking about all of Virginia. There's 500,000 Virginians who are under the age of 35.
35.
That's right. So they hold jobs that are exposed to AI, and there's recommended expanding reskilling pathways. And yet only 27% of business leaders say that these reskilling pathways exist in their region of wherever they're located within Virginia, right? So what they're saying is there's a mismatch. There's probably a lot of people who are going to be affected by AI, but there are not a whole lot of pathways for those people to get new skills, I guess is the idea. Right. And the focus here is on the education system to make up that gap. But I think the key area is saying that really Spanberger and the administration is looking to the community colleges to make up a lot of this reskilling gap, because many of the jobs that may not be affected by AI are going to be more hands-on types of jobs, more vocational type of jobs.
So people are going to have to shift and, maybe learn a new skill.
Think differently. Yeah.
I mean, AI, everybody's using it.
Well, it's a lot of conjecture still too. I think that, there's a combination of like AI impacting jobs, but also the economy just generally souring, as we're seeing from these other metrics. Mm-hmm. So it's unclear to me whether AI is the real culprit or is that the blame. And could AI open up new opportunities as well that we haven't discovered yet, as most new technologies do. So I'm not saying that I try to be optimistic about it, I guess is what I'm saying, Kathy.
Yeah.
I think
it's tough for the 35 and under. So let's stay positive and hope things change.
Exactly. So, all right. Any last thoughts on economic situation in the greater Washington area?
No.
I think we've said it all.
We're good. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay.
If something comes up, we'll talk about it next week.
Right. We'll be back next week. So that's a good point.
Yeah.
Listen, if you like this content so far, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, or you can find us on Apple and Spotify if you're listening only. And we also have a newsletter that we send out weekly that includes everything happening in Reston and Herndon. And we'll put a link below.
People love it.
And check us out on @Greater Reston Living on Instagram for all the fun stuff as we go around and showcase the best of our community.
Yeah.
All right.
Happy to share it all.
Good luck, Reston and Herndon.